Welcome back to Buying Sandlot. I'm Kyle Pagan, and as always, I'm joined by Kyle Scott. On today's episode, we're talking about Otto Sports AI's major expansion plans to go deeper into volleyball, including some great quotes from CEO Luke Zaientz. We'll also be discussing Unrivaled Sports' investment into their flagship complex, getting a little bit of Little League World Series drama. And to finish off the episode, we have the most important customer for businesses entirely focused on this space. One person who, by a single utter of a word, can move a balance sheet or move a stock ticker in whichever way they choose. We have Kyle's 10-year-old son on, and he's going to tell us what brands, sports leagues, drip, and more he and his friends are wearing and why. So free market research for everyone. What more can you ask? Kyle, thanks for loaning your son out to us for this episode today.
Kyle Jr. Yeah, he's been asking all summer to come on. So I told him he can come on, and I think he did a really nice job. Obviously, we're recording this after the fact, but I think it's good market research for the audience. Good to hear. Comported himself really well. This is his first on-camera gig. Well-spoken, didn't clam up.
Pitched a business that he's working on?
His business, Two Scoop Sports. Yes, his business. We'll give it a free plug. He a lot better than me. Way better spoken than I was.
Yeah, diplomatic, but also blunt.
Very diplomatic,
and that's what you can all. That's all you can ask when you want a survey report from people. Before we do get into the episode, we do have to thank our friends at Blackmagic Design. Recently, every kick, phase, scrum, and try at this year's Tropical Sevens Youth Rugby Tournament was streamed, and that's thanks to Blackmagic Design. That included 250 plus teams and 750 plus matches across 15 fields over 4 days of frenetic action, streamed live in its entirety at a level not previously seen in the sport. That included their Mini Extreme and Mini Pro switchers and converters for multi-camera streaming, and their DaVinci Resolve replay and post-production solutions. You know it, I know it. Everyone who watches youth sports, from athletes, parents, and grandparents, coaches, college recruiters, they've come to expect streaming that looks and sounds professional. If this is something you think you'd be interested in, for more information, visit Blackmagic Design. Blackmagic Design, Kyle.
Yeah, tomorrow we'll be down at the Perfect Game All-American Classic, and we expect full high-quality cameras on us at Citizens Bank Park. Look at us broadcasting tomorrow, not live, but quasi-live, from a Major League ballpark.
Yeah, you'll get that.
Next to Mo Vaughn. Next to Mo Vaughn. Buying Sandlot and Mo Vaughn together as one.
Joe Girardi is going to be there. Can we get him on? We'll wait and see. Maybe Shane Victorino comes on. Obviously, we're going to be talking to a bunch of guys from Perfect Game. We're going to be talking to some of the brand partners and everything. People that we've talked about on this podcast before. So we're really excited for that. Thanks to the folks over at Perfect Game for inviting us. And that'll be out next week.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing Striker Pence take some BP too.
Also true. All right, let's get into the episode. Otto Sport AI, they've expanded into volleyball, a Buying Sandlot exclusive, I must say. Otto Sport plans to become the creme de la creme for youth volleyball. After a little over a year in business, the youth sports management startup is continuing its rapid growth with a wave of new additions and expansion for its volleyball-focused Sport Wrench events platform that includes 35 major tournaments will move to Sport Wrench this coming season, including several USA Volleyball National Qualifiers. 3 veteran operators and the founder of a volleyball event management platform will join Otto as new strategic advisors and launch Integrated Tournament Solutions, a new volleyball-focused travel firm which will be integrated into Sport Wrench. And CEO Luke Zaientz sees what he calls a flippening happening in the volleyball space. AES, which was owned by Sports Engine and was wrapped up in the Playmetrics deal earlier this year. They owned about 90% of the volleyball event management market share at one point. He expects Sport Wrench, which had roughly 20% when Otto acquired them, to flip those numbers this fall. He does also give James a big dog quote. It's a long quote.
I was just going to point this out. Go ahead.
It's worth it. It's worth a listen. Luke said,
"Give him a bark. He gets a bark for this one. Luke gets a bark.
He deserves a bark. We'll bark at the end. We'll do a little bark at the end."
Okay.
So Luke told James, I think coming into this tournament season, you'll see the numbers. AES will be dwindling down to a very small market share, and we're going to be up to 70, 80% share just in one season, which is crazy. You're going to see the governing bodies rolling into Sport Wrench. you're going to see most of the major tournament groups rolling into Sport Wrench. For volleyball tournaments tech, there's maybe half a dozen to 10 people in the country or the world that know how to create these systems, operate these systems, do scheduling for volleyball tournaments. They've basically all signed on to our mission. The big volleyball tournament operators are signing on. The schedulers that work with them are signing on. The founders of AES, the operators of AES have joined forces with us. All the people that know how to build tournament tech and operate it have kind of moved onto our platform to work with us as advisors or teammates. So it's on. What a quote. What a quote. I didn't know Luke had that in him, actually. You know, he's a very soft-spoken guy, really nice guy. I met him at the U.S. Soccer Coaches Convention in Philadelphia.
He was your first interview. You should say, right? He was. We sent you down there cold.
We had an awkward high-five interaction. I love this. I didn't know he had it in him.
We sent you down there cold, and you came back and said, I talked to this guy, Luke from Otto. He's great. You came back with this guy. I was like, we sent you to soccer convention not knowing anybody. Luke's the first guy. What a great first get you got. You got the Xbox Go guy, too, right?
Yep.
So you got some good ones on your first. And then Luke at our event, super nice guy. By the way, you should have known this quote was coming after seeing him on the padel courts. He was owning the padel court ballers for
he didn't get off
2 hours. I left early before the pickleball was done, but it was his court. Like I fully expect to go back there and just see a giant octopus stamp right in the middle of that. Luke was here. This is Luke's court now.
I went up to him after the game. I went up to him after. Go. You ever played before? He goes, never touched a padel in my. Never played padel in my life.
God, really?
Yeah.
My God. I looked over. I'm like, because I tinkered, as we've talked about, with playing last year, and I looked over. I was like, shoot, you like guys like Luke have been playing for a while. I can't hang with him. That was his first time.
His first time. It was awesome.
I feel terrible about myself. He was looking good out there. Luke made me feel terrible. Wow. Mild manner guy. That's a great quote, though. That sounds like in political campaigns, like as the primaries are about halfway through, and then the entire party just coalesces around a candidate. They're like, oh no, this guy's going to win, or all the donors are going here, right? It happened with Biden. It happened with Trump, right? Like you hit like July and August, and all of a sudden, all the candidates start throwing this report. That's what this quote is. It's like, we got the support of this guy. We get this guy. We got one holdout out there, and they're going to lose because we got everybody. Join us. You're either with us or against us. It's a good quote.
Whew.
Love the octopus.
Yeah, probably. I think pound for pound, probably the best logo in youth sports right now.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of a double entendre there, right? I think they want to talk about like doing stuff for you with the Otto AI and the Otto Pilot, and doing 8 different things in youth sports. So each of the tentacles, each tentacle has a brain in it. I love the meaning of the octopus. Plus, it's fun. Who doesn't love a purple octopus?
It's true. It's true. So what are your thoughts on this? You know, this play from Otto, you know, who's it looks like to be vertically owning the entire volleyball infrastructure.
James had reported way back that they were, winning over some of the business from USA Volleyball. So I don't know enough about the federations in volleyball here to know how much of this is part of it or not. But that was originally with the Sports Engine brand, as you just talked about. And, there's a little bit of pushback there that, well, like some of this is happening, some of it isn't. It looks like, our early read on Otto, James's in particular's early read on Otto going big in volleyball was very, very directionally accurate. So I like this concept, as we've always talked about. Do you go deep in one sport? Do you go wide? Otto's kind of piecing together a few different businesses under this new brand with Luke at the helm. And I like the fact that they're like, we're going to own this sport and dominate it. We have some know-how already in this sport. And now, like, let's just double down on that and get the whole of market share in volleyball, which is a pretty complex sport, especially around the tournaments and in terms of like the courts and the number of courts that are happening and the scheduling. Like, these are large events. And I think he kind of spoke to that in his quote. Like, they're a little bit different. Each sport's got its own idiosyncrasies, but I think volleyball has a lot, just from the folks I've talked to. So good strategy, and good to see them, making some traction. I like Luke and the team.
Yeah, apparently like 10 to 12 people can do what they're doing in the entire world and stuff. So, I really like the travel piece. I know it is kind of a side announcement in this whole scoop that we got. It wasn't meant to be, but obviously with that quote and wrapping all these tournaments into everything, that kind of took the shine and everything. But the travel pieces, I think, is going to be huge, and we saw it with Fast Break, who just acquired Group Housing, which added 150,000 room nights to their already hundreds of thousands of room nights that they already had. John Stewart over there also mentioned that there was a goal of 1 million by 2027. I think where all this is going is headed for, at least for the travel side, is who can build kind of that sportcation product for these tournaments. Rob Pondra talked about it a little bit when we had him on a couple of weeks ago. You have a tournament in Orlando. Well, how do we also sell you on Disney, or how do we sell you to an Orlando Magic game, or a tour into a package without leaving the website or the app? Sure, the goal now is, we want to book hotels so that you don't have to leave. Obviously, Event Connect, we love them. That's one of their biggest competitive advantages. But how much more can they layer on with, restaurant reservations, flights, rental cars, excursions, or maybe even like extended stays if the tournament completes and you're either, down in Orlando, Florida, or you're out in Italy and you want to, travel all up and down the boot for a week. So I think the travel piece will be very interesting, and see how far we can go with it in youth sports.
Yeah, it's kind of I guess everyone is sort of building the super app, right? Their own version of the super app. Parents, everyone knows how many apps parents have to use just to exist on like the local club participation level. But then tournaments is a whole nother layer, because you have dedicated tournament apps and schedules, and then you have the housing piece. So I think all of these platforms, especially that play in the competitive tournament circuits, like Fast Break and Otto, they're just going to need these. Or to your point, they're just going to need the travel built in. This way, you don't have to send people off. It actually reminds me of a tweet I saw yesterday. This comes from the education space, but see if you can find some analogy here. It's just a short tweet here, but this is, quote, "Did you see the teacher's note on Seesaw? Check the Remind app. It's literally on Power School. Photos are on the Kiki. Homework is in Canva. Do the iReady. The parents mentioned it on WhatsApp. It's in the Group Me. It's on Blooms. Check the Band app. Log the reading in Beanstack." I don't know. My kids don't use half of these apps, but like, I think education has the same issue that youth sports does, which there's all these technological solutions built over the last 10 to 20 years. And now you're seeing the consolidation phase, which putting travel into platforms and owning a single sport is definitely a great play here.
Yeah, on the hardware side, I mean, you got to think about, the iPhone. I know obviously you're a huge Apple fan and stuff, hey, where can I get my iPod? Where can I get my iPod Touch? Where can I get my computer? Well, I can get it all on this iPhone. Now I can play music. Now I can take pictures. Now I can surf the internet. Now I can do all this stuff and everything. So
it's not three different products. It's one. It's an internet communicator. It's an widescreen iPod with touch controls. It's a phone. Yeah. It's not three different products. It's one. No, it's a great example. It's one octopus. It's one octopus with 8 tentacles.
Yeah, and obviously, we have to mention it. This will also put a bullseye and a little bit of tension on state of play, with Otto now owning, the soup to nuts of all this stuff, though it does create convenience, and it does, in consolidation, is good for, the family. The family, I feel like, still looks at themselves as, especially in the volleyball space, like themselves as like a transaction, or they wonder, if they're really receiving the best hotel options when they do have these state of play initiatives happening and stuff. But I believe James has a quote from Luke about that, and that's going out in tomorrow's newsletter. So that's a little bit of a tease for you to check that one out on Friday. So stay tuned for that. But put a bow on this. I mean, I think it'll be very interesting, watching how all this plays out. And two of the companies, how can you not think of, Otto and Fast Break? How does it play out from there? Two Sandlot Summit panelists, might I add, who clearly think, owning the tournament infrastructure is kind of a gateway to owning more of the youth sports economy and stuff. So I'm very excited to watch this play out.
And my read is just, in general, we're moving from the features as a product phase into the consolidation phase in tech, right? We've talked about this before, a lot of the newer tech ideas, or the smaller tech platforms and products and businesses, are really just better features as part of a big kind of all-encompassing octopus, like Otto, or like Fast Break, or like Team Snap, right? Like League Apps bringing in NCSI, right? Like, so different thing there. That's not a tech play, but the point still stands. You're seeing kind of the super appification. And then, so that will consolidate some things, but you're still going to have 5, 6, 7, 8 large players that are all going to have meaningful distribution. And then I think it's the next rung. Maybe Playmetrics Sports Engine is the best example of this side of things, this next level happening where you have 2 big players combined and form one. And now you're talking about, large, potentially public companies type thing,
We might not get interoperability, but we will get consolidation. And you know what? That might be enough in the end. Who knows? Let's move on. Unrivaled Sports, they've made an investment into one of their flagship complexes. We have more details on how Unrivaled Sports wants to take control of the minor league baseball stadium next to the Ripken complex in Maryland via a long-term lease on the city-owned venue. More details include Aberdeen plans to ask for $15 million in state funding, which will be on top of $5 million already awarded in the 2027 state budget. Unrivaled will commit around $20 million to the project. The Maryland Stadium Authority will use bonds to cover new parking garages, or garage, singular. Plans call to turn the parking lots around the stadium into 4 multi-purpose rectangular turf fields for anything from flag football, lacrosse, soccer, and will be open to the public at all times. There's also a possibility of building a hotel, restaurant, retail space. They've also been floated out in the plans. And Unrivaled has told the Baltimore Sun they project an additional 74,000 visitors and 38,000 participants each year. Beautiful complex down there in Aberdeen, Maryland. What was your read on this?
Read was the one line which we bolded in the newsletter. Didn't have a chance to give a take on it the other day, but it would have been around this. The fields will be open to the public at all times, right? So here you have, I think, the melding of 3 different trends. It's this kind of, we talked about this before, pro organizations that is a minor league club, right? So you have pro organizations kind of dipping into using their infrastructure and their venue for youth sports participation. Right. That's 1. 2, you have public-private partnerships here. Obviously, not, Unrivaled didn't have to shell out too much of this. 50 of it comes in state funding, 20 from Unrivaled. And then the third is this kind of facilities as local infrastructure play, right? That part about the fields being open to the public is important because if you're going to take a parking lot for the team and convert it into tournament space for sports tourism, you want to make sure that when it's not being used for those tournaments, it says open to the public at all times. I imagine it's at all times, asterisk, when there's not a tournament going on. But at least you're providing this local infrastructure, which I think, just when I begin to triangulate things in our newsletter and our analysis, it's the cost of facility and facility access drives such a big piece of the participation just in general, that being able to pair these larger tournament venues, take the investment and the economics of an Unrivaled, the tourism incentive of a state, but be able to use those facilities. It looks like they're going to be outdoor, easy to access, is a win-win-win across the board. So interesting stuff here. And kind of, I think, tips the hat to perhaps where Unrivaled is going sports-wise, flag, lacrosse, soccer, et cetera. I'm guessing in that order.
Right? Yeah, I mean, inevitable that they get into basketball, like you told A-Rod, because obviously, Josh Harris and David Blitzer are the owners of Unrivaled. So we'll see that. One last thing before we get over to Kyle Jr. You probably saw this because it went crazy viral. Tulsa Little League got banned from the Little League World Series. Not only the youth boys baseball team, but also the youth softball team a couple weeks earlier. If you didn't see it, I'll just run through the series of events that were pretty crazy for real quickly because we do have an update. So hang on for that. Tulsa National beat Louisiana on Sunday to clinch the Southwest Regional. 3 protests, 2 from Texas, 1 from Louisiana, alleged Tulsa had an ineligible player. Little League International rules player ineligible, and they boot Tulsa. Texas-Louisiana semifinal on Monday becomes now the regional final. Texas wins it. Tulsa parents now file a lawsuit. Then a state judge grants temporary restraining order, says Tulsa and Texas must replay regional final on Tuesday. Remember, this is youth sports here, folks. Little League International files an emergency motion to dissolve the TRO, says a followed policy and game is impossible to replay. Judge agrees, dissolves the TRO. Texas team remains regional champion. All right. So after all of that, why are we bringing it back to you? Because today, new evidence was found by Softball on SI, the softball arm of Sports Illustrated, that the Oklahoma Little League State Tournament was just a complete sham. It was just all of it. All of it apparently was a complete sham.
Yeah, Washington County, right, as the participant, but league data center records showed 0 player registrations in the eligible relevant division, violating basic eligibility and participation requirements for the state tournament. The team was instructed to pay a $150 fee to the district administrator. Little League, of course, a federally chartered 501c3, does not charge teams entry fees for international tournament levels, district, state, region, or World Series. And the use of travel players. That roster from Washington County was drawn largely from the 11U Bartlesville Bombers, a travel select team, rather than properly registered local Little League players. So it seems like one of the Washington County team was not really the Washington County team. They weren't playing in the eligible Little League divisions that should have been formed out of. It was basically just an existing unaffiliated travel team that registered with those kids, paid a fee, got in the tournament, and probably wouldn't have even been noticed if there wasn't so much scrutiny on this particular tournament, which does beg the question, how many other regional tournaments and major events, if you go looking, will you find things? So I do think, I wrote yesterday, the court ruling doesn't jeopardize the credibility of the Little League World Series because they were really just following the rules, right? They applied the rules to this club. The club violated them, whether you think they're ticky-tacky or not. They were violated. Everyone agrees the rules, should be upheld. But then you see another team that enters a sham that you go looking. How many other things do you go looking for? Are there eligibility issues? And I think, I don't know. I mean, do you have a take there?
I don't necessarily have a take, but I thought we threw in the newsletter a clip from Barstool brand called Mostly Sports, and I thought their one quote was really good, was really well said, and you wrote it in your take. But it says Little League exists. It's propped up by the idea of who would cheat at this, which I think is like the perfect encapsulation of this entire story, where it's like damned if you do a little bit and damned if you don't. If you want to go, and make a huff about a kid that you saw maybe pitch, 2 days in a row, you could do that. You could be right. You could be wrong. Same with like a birth certificate. You say that kid looks like he's 14 years old. Turns out mom's got the birth certificate. The kid's 12. So now you kind of look like an a-hole. And it's like, is the juice really worth the squeeze at this point and stuff? So it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. I'd love to, think I'm doing the right thing and I'm protecting the kid, or I'm accusing someone of cheating who shouldn't be cheating, who taking away from the game. But you could also be wrong and be like, why? And you don't not even want to put yourself out there because you look like, egg on your face and stuff. So it's such a weird double-edged sword kind of way, because why would anyone accuse anyone of cheating? We're talking about Little League here, people.
It's a tough call. There was a kid in Kyle Juniors, who you'll see here in a sec, fall ball league last year, and it's like fall ball is like mini travel because like there's not enough for a rec kids in a town, so it's like half travel. We're playing in Southern Town. This kid, this was 9-10. I mean, this kid was like 14, right? Or he was just huge, right? We didn't say anything, but like all of us on our bench, I was assistant coach, and we're like, there's no way this kid's 10, and nobody said anything because like no one wanted to be that guy, but. But to me, that's a safety issue. My first thought in that situation is my son was actually pitching to him, right? He struck him out, by the way. Feather in Kyle's cap. Not that we're competitive around here. But my first thought was, man, if he squares one up, like my kid's 45 feet away, right? It's really a safety thing. Or vice versa. If that kid's pitching, he's throwing 70 miles an hour to 9 and 10-year-olds from 45 feet away, you have a safety issue on your hands. So thankfully nothing happened, but I think that should be the primary reason for raising these, and especially in contact sports, it's a safety thing. But I think that just speaks to the compliance, the age verifications, our friends at Anchored, Zorts, right, with the instant scan and NCSI and all these other things, and that this is a talking point for the private side of youth sports, the for-profit side of youth sports. This story is being used nationally to once again paint youth sports in a negative light. Look how ridiculous parents are. Look at this. It's supposed to be Little League and ice pops and the stuff Linda Flanagan longs for, right? But it's look how corrupt it is, and look at parents cheating. But if I'm the for-profit PR hat for a sec, I'm like, you know what? When you have money at stake and liability, I suspect Unrivaled and, you know, the Ripken Nationals and their tournaments. I suspect that Perfect Game, right? Like, let's just stay in baseball, right? Are a bit more detail oriented on this stuff to make sure this isn't happening, because it's not just a network of volunteers. It's a network of either their own employees or, you know, for-profit partnerships that have more at stake and are tend to be better on the T's and C's, more professionalization. So everyone talks about professionalization supposedly being bad for youth sports. I think it's a great example of, you had a bunch of volunteers running a regional tournament, and at least two of the three teams that we're talking about were not supposed to be there. One unequivocally so. Like, the player ineligibility thing seems, you know, technicality. Someone was trying to get one over, but this Washington, whatever county team, I mean, it was a complete. It shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, I mean, like this is going to open up. Is this true? Is going to open up another can of worms, because there's a tournament director or there's a league director who gathered that $150 and stuff. So now, you know, are we talking about, you know, legal implications at this point and everything? But I think, you know, going back to your Unrivaled and going back to your perfect game thing, it's just cover your butt insurance. You know, I mean, if they do stuff like this that's, you know, out of bounds or illegal, and let a 16-year-old play in a 12-year-old, you know, 12U tournament and stuff, like, at that point, you know, you're not going after a whole organization. That falls right directly on you and everything. So they have incentive to, you know, to have all these compliances and have all these background checks and, you know, make sure that they're in compliance with all this stuff. So no, I agree. I mean, it's an unfortunate situation, but it's a situation that's, you know, points to that, not rec, not private, not NGBs, not federations. Like, nothing is perfect in the world of youth sports, and unfortunately, this is probably happening in other places that just didn't have an entire scandal on its back stoop.
Probably throw the clip of Nina Johnson talking here a couple of weeks ago about the challenges of, about a month ago, about the challenges of volunteers.
Experience, that was always the wild card, because like I talked about earlier, we have this great program, right? We have the framework, but how it was implemented was really dependent upon the local volunteers that were running the program. And every community was a little bit different. And Little League is a volunteer-based organization. So, you know, you had some people that were more engaged, some people who weren't as engaged. And the experience that child, that family had was impacted only by those people running the program.
I would love to understand maybe where you sit on kind of that spectrum, just from a personal viewpoint, because I think a lot of times the answer has been, well, more community volunteer-based organizations is good. And I think there's lots of merit there. But as you just kind of said, like, the range and quality of those programs can vary wildly based on the individual that's kind of deploying it.
I think it all rests with the minds of parents. Parents now want to control, and understandably, because we've scared them, right? They want to control so much of every experience that their kid has. So it's a little bit fear-based. So when they're thinking of organizations that they want their kids to participate in, they're like, okay, are they doing background checks on the volunteers? Are the people that are going to be around my kid, do they share kind of my same insights, my same mindset? That, you know, they want to be able to control the people that their kids are around. I talked about joysticking. Like, it's such a joystick model now. And so parents, when they're looking, I think are looking for organizations that are well-funded, because they have all of those things.
Anything else on this?
No, be interesting to see if more comes out. Right now, I think the other thing would have been judge ruled. People talk about it for a week, goes away, tournament goes off without a hitch. Now, if you got reporting on other teams being ineligible, you bet that every team involved now is going to be making sure that their upcoming opponent is also eligible. And I don't know. I mean, that's right. You don't want to be that guy, but now it's like, this is a major thing. You know, for these kids, you want legitimate competition now. This is one of the few, I would say this is one of several like true youth things that people accept is something kids really want to win. It is competitive, right? Like, a lot of people are like, oh, it should be for fun. Everyone agrees the Little League World Series, you're there to compete and win. So you bet some of those other teams are going to be checking every T, and T is crossed and I is dotted on every other team in that tournament. And again, if it was this easy to find two just in one region, I wouldn't be stunned, put it that way. And I don't know anything here, but wouldn't be stunned if between now and the end of the month, something else pops up involving the Little League World Series.
Yeah. Yep.
Which sucks. It's a great, it should be a fun thing. Fun but competitive.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, let's get over to Kyle Jr. We will see you on next week. So enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you then. GG's.
Good game.
Well, if you didn't think we could add more Kyles to the show, you were surely wrong. We have another Kyle joining us today. He's been asking to come on a couple of times, and we were figuring out like how do we deploy him? How do we add him into the show? Well, if you're in luck, people who listen to this, business people in the industry, we have the free market research. We'll be showing them a couple brands, a couple leagues, a couple other things. And he will decide what he likes better and give some answers to it and everything. How do you feel? How do you feel about your debut?
I don't know. I mean, I've never been on YouTube before, like a podcast that's like a real thing. So
Thank
this
you.
is kind of new for me.
I appreciate that.
He watches, like all the YouTube baseball videos often, probably more than he should. But he's been asking to come on for months. So I figure let's do some real time market research, and we can get 3 Kyles on a pod. And I think you're going to get some good insight here. He's got lots of big ideas.
What do you play? So the people at home know. What sports?
I mean, I have 2 main sports, which is baseball and basketball.
I'll step out. You take it away.
Go ahead.
Baseball, obviously being my number one, but I'm still a pretty decent basketball player.
Okay. Any other sports like football?
I mean, I don't know. Those are like the 2 sports that I like play in the league. So
nice. Anything like outdoor where you're just hanging out with friends and everything? Like you're playing a little bit of wiffle ball. You're playing a little bit of pickup hoops, kicking the soccer ball around. I know you have a little brother too, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically every day at the beach. We got these like cones as bases. We got our own field between the lifeguard box and the dunes. You can like hit a home run. We always get our bats and play there and balls, and it's really fun. And like I know a lot of people there.
Nice, I love that. All right, good little structured rec down in the down at the beach and everything. So, all right, you know the name of the game. I'm going to show you 2 pictures. Sometimes it's going to be 3 pictures. It's going to be, let's say, shoes of a couple brands. Maybe it's a pro sports leagues logos and stuff. A couple drip brands that we've talked to in the past, and you're kind of just going to tell us, what you like, what your favorite one is. It could be multiple favorites if you have that, and then maybe just explain your answer for the people. A lot of people are gonna get some valuable insight out of this. So you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's bring it up. All right, so the first ones we got 2 shoes here. We got a Nike shoe and we got an Under Armour shoe. What do you like better?
I don't really know. I mean, they're both really good. I like how the Under Armour one's like kind of like a drippy style, and that's what's good here. But also Nike's a lot more popular, I think, in my opinion, than Under Armour. But I like them both, so it's kind of hard to choose. But
so when you're talking with friends and or you're talking with dad and you're deciding on you walk into I don't even know if you guys walk into stores anymore. If you're online or anything, what's kind of that separates it? Like what's the key detail of being like, all right, I want the Nike or I want the Steph Curry? Is it because these are Steph Curry's at the bottom? Like, is it I love Steph Curry, I want his shoes no matter what they look like? Or is it okay, they both look really cool, but I'm going to go Nike over Under Armour or Adidas because all my friends are wearing Nike on the court? How's it kind of play out right now?
I mean, I'd probably choose Nike, 1, because it's more popular, and 2, because LeBron is better.
Good point. Sixers.
And also, I like how I just like Nike more because it's a lot more popular.
Mm-hmm.
But I like Under Armour's gear. I mean, I'm wearing a shirt under my jersey.
Okay, so prefer the shoes of Nike, but the Under Armour gear you really enjoy.
Yes.
All right. Let's move on to the next one. Got 2 big brands now. Yeah, this one might be tough. You drink both of them. We got the Gatorade logo on the screen, and we got Prime, which I don't have kids, Kyle, but I've heard that has made some headways into the youth sports drink of choice. So between these 2, I'm sure you've tried both. What do you prefer?
I mean, oh man, this is I think for sports, Gatorade's the better choice because Gatorade's meant for sports. Prime is just a good
That's an everyday
drink.
drink. That's an everyday drink. So if you're heading to a baseball game and there's a Prime and there's a Gatorade sitting next to each other, the Gatorade is going with you.
I mean, it just feels more sporty. Like Prime is a good thing for like businesses like Lunchly and Lunchables. Like they both have Prime and stuff. Like it seems like it's a good like side drink, especially when you're like eating stuff. Like you have like water, it's a good side drink.
Yeah, you're chilling, watching YouTube and everything. You're grabbing a Prime and you're having a Lunchable.
I mean, I would also choose Gatorade at that time, but I think
Okay.
Gatorade's more like sporty. I'm probably gonna go Gatorade.
All right, we're gonna get some batting gloves in now. So we got a couple different batting gloves, some drippy batting gloves. We got Bruce Bolt on the top, and then we have the classics, which your father and I grew up with, the Franklin batting gloves and everything. What do you think of this? What do you think is a better look, a better brand when you look at these two?
I mean, I like both of them. I had Frank. Wait, no, wait, I didn't have Franklin gloves, but like I think my brother has Franklin gloves. So Franklin and Bruce Bolts make a lot of similar gloves, but I think like these days kids want Bruce Bolts because every baseball team, every like kids I've seen have Bruce Bolts, and like the yellow and green ones are like the most popular. I have the Brendan Nimmo Bruce Bolts, and but there's a lot of other people that have more.
Yeah, so it's kind of like you both like the designs of each, and I know there's other companies that make great baseball gloves right now, but Bruce Bolt has really stood out to you because of players, because of influencers, because more kids are rocking the Bruce Bolts right now. What is really the deciding factor, you think?
I mean, it's just a lot more popular, and I want to blend in with all the kids I know. And one, I mean, but they're also really cool gloves. Like,
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
the
they
ones
do.
that we're looking at right now are creamy. They're
Hmm.
cool. They're like, I mean, and there's so many, like inspired by baseball players, and that makes me like, I love baseball, I love sports. So like, if it's inspired by real players, I'm like, yeah, I'm going with this.
Okay. This next one is going to be a couple leagues. Now, obviously, you've been talking about, you're a baseball player, you're a baseball fan, but do you like the NFL or do you like Major League Baseball better right now?
I mean, like at this time, probably MLB, but I'm also a huge Eagles fan. I love the Eagles. Well, an NFL fan, obviously, but I'm an Eagles fan. But like, I'm probably a bigger MLB fan, especially at this time because there's no football to look at, and all everyone's talking about is just like off-season trades and stuff. Like, I don't watch that stuff. I don't like that stuff. I just like the like. I tried fantasy football once. It was okay, but like I like when it's actually on.
So, when it comes to a game experience and you're sitting on the couch, what do you like better?
If I was sitting down, I would probably choose either. But if the Phillies, if like my team, they're like is not on, I wouldn't watch it probably on MLB. But if it was football and my team wasn't on, I would probably still watch it because it's just there's a lot more ball in play, and if there's nothing to do that day, I'd probably choose that.
It's good insight right there. I like that. All right, let's pull up some baseball spikes. We got the Nike spikes. We've got Adidas spikes. We've got New Balance spikes. Which before this, I didn't know how big New Balance spikes were in the were in the industry, but they're doing pretty well. And then the light blue ones, we have Under Armour right there. What are you rocking right now? What do you prefer?
I was just wearing the Mike Trouts, but they got too big, so I got new
Do you
shoes.
remember what brand he is? Is he Nike?
I he's Nike. So and I know Nike makes like is the king of clothing, but they have good shoes too. And Nike is just like a bigger. I mean, Adidas is big too, but like it's bigger than all these brands. And I've seen a lot less New Balance commercials lately than last year.
Yeah, Shohei's New Balance. They've just started to get into the sports sphere. I feel like when we were growing up, it was dad shoes and cutting the grass shoes. So what do you prefer if you're going to Dick's Sporting Goods? Where what kind of baseball cleats do you think you're grabbing? Because obviously you have also Under Armour, Bryce, and you're a huge Bryce Harper fan. Like, you got that kind of throwing a wrench in the equation. So where are you typically going for with spikes when it comes to brands?
It's Adidas and Nike. I feel like I'd probably go to Nike because I don't know, Nike's bigger, and also I think Nike has just generally cooler stuff. But like Adidas is good too. Don't count them out, but like I'd probably go Nike.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I know people like who play, soccer, they might be Adidas over Nike and stuff. So it does go sport by sport too. But I think you're going to really like this next one. Your dad talks about this, how you are into bats on the pod sometimes. We have the Victus pencil bat. We have the Hype Fire, which I'm watching the Little League World Series. I think every other kid has one. We have the Rawlings Icon, and we had the Louisville Slugger Supra. You walk into Dick's Sporting Goods, you see these four. What are you taking?
Oh God, you're killing me, man. I mean, I would probably cross off the pencil bat because one, I already have one, and two, it's pretty much dead. Like,
yeah, okay, it's a fair point. It's been around for a while. It was cool when it first came up. I remember that. Yeah. But it's been around for about 3-4 years now.
But now it's like, it's not really a thing anymore.
But like when you're out there in the field and everything, and you're talking with your friends, when you guys aren't playing baseball, like what is like the bat? What are you seeing right now? I'm sure it's one of these 4 or 3.
It is. And so pencil bats probably kind of Hype Fires certainly in the mix, Archon and Supra. Now, Supras, I don't even know if they don't make like non-U trips, because if you're playing travel, Supra's definitely the thing I would do. But if you're like a newbie and you're like not playing travel, I would probably go the Hype Fire.
What are you swinging? Are you swinging Victus? You swinging Easton? You swinging Louisville? You swinging Rawlings? What are you swinging right now?
Right now, I'm swinging the old Hype Fire, which I didn't even know they released a new Hype Fire. Well, I saw one key with the new Hype Fire, but I thought Kyle. It was like a ripoff.
Cool. Another league one, NBA versus Major League Baseball. What do you prefer to watch? What do you prefer to go to in person?
I've been to one Sixers game, and it was the playoffs. So, and obviously I'm MLB, but let me just explain. Like NBA, I don't know. I feel like in NBA there's like too much scoring, like, and that's why I like watching soccer and baseball so much. Like scoring isn't, I mean, it's very common, but like it's not like you don't get many 10 scoring games. In basketball, scoring 100 points is average. And I feel like you have to earn just a single point. Mm-hmm. And also, I'm probably going to watch a lot more basketball this year because LeBron obviously on the Sixers. And, I'm kind of Sixers-Knicks debate. Both kind of like, I like both teams. But like, what? And also, it's just same thing with the NFL and MLB. Like, I've been to more MLB games. I've been to one NBA game.
So if you're sitting on the couch and it's NBA, it's Sixers game versus Phillies game, and you don't have YouTube TV, you can't split it down the middle. You only can watch one. What are we taking? NBA or Phillies or Sixers?
Fighting Phils, yeah, for sure.
Moving on to the drip. I believe we have Goated or Goat Co. At the top in the blue. We got Dirty Mids in the middle, a former podcast guest. And then we have Baseball Lifestyle 101 in the bottom left corner there. Where are we going with on this one?
Ice cream shirts, easy. I mean, well, not ice cream, but like Baseball 101. I'm wearing Baseball 101. I'm wearing the pencil shorts right now. But I know goat stuff is really popular, but I have no goat stuff. It's really popular. I've seen, especially this summer, I've seen a lot of kids with it. So I think if I started getting into it, I probably maybe have a different opinion, but it's really up to those two, and I'd choose Baseball 101. If it was necklaces, I definitely choose Dirty Mids.
Nice. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I know the drip, the short culture right now in the drip. So yeah, my nephew's got Baseball 101 lifestyle all the time. I see him wearing it. So I know that's a big one with the kids right now. The drip industry is very interesting. Throw a little wrinkle in here. This might be a tough one for you. We got Savannah Bananas on top. We got Major League Baseball on the bottom. Savannah Bananas, which, baseball might go away in next year. So they're going to have a huge opportunity to provide entertainment for people. But them versus Major League Baseball right now, sitting on the couch, only one program you can choose. Where are we going with?
Major League Baseball. I mean, also, it's kind of hard to find Savannah Bananas because they're all over the place, and I don't know when they're going to play.
It's good market insight. I like that. They are. They always find a way on my TV, though. They always find a way on my TV somehow. Let's go to gloves. We got a Rawlings up top, and I believe we have Wilson. We have Wilson on the bottom there. 2 drippy gloves, awesome patterns and stuff. Where are we going with in the gloves market?
This is tough. I mean, I'm personally a bigger Rawlings, especially the Heart of the Hides one. I like the Heart of the Hides. It's like brand, but I also like Wilson because I feel like they make a lot. I mean, I don't know, maybe not a lot more, but like I feel like they put more effort into their gloves. There's like more details, and also I think I like the feel better of Heart of the Hides in Rawlings in general.
What is it about the feel that you like when you're on the diamond?
I don't know. I feel like, I mean, they're harder to break in, but once you do break them in, also I like how they're just like a lot more, I don't know how to describe this, like creamy and sophisticated.
Yeah, you like the designs, the creativity. Is that what you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What when you're making a buying decision, like what goes into like a glove? Like is it just like I need the style, I need the drip of it, I need, my fingers have to fit comfortably in it. Like what would you say like is the major decision when you're looking for a glove?
I like drip, but I think it's like because the point of having a good glove is you play good in it and it feels good with you. Like it doesn't have to be big. It just has to feel like, I think from my perspective, if a glove feels good, like really good, you should use it. Unless it's like one of those like boring gloves. But like I think I probably choose feel over drip.
Okay. But if both feel well, then the drip will be the deciding factor.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I like that. 2 more for you. All right. I don't know how much sunglasses you're wearing on the diamond. I don't know if that lets you or not. How drippy he lets you get. But we got the Pit Vipers, and then we have the Los Reyes.
I mean, Pit Vipers easy. I have a pair of Pit Vipers. Like I would put them on my hat, but like I didn't want to disrespect the logo and stuff. But like
disrespect the logo. I love that.
You
like the
can't
logo.
Disrespect that logo.
I mean, it's my own dad's business. I don't want to disrespect it, but like.
Oh, you're talking about right now, like the bikes that you had put Pit Vipers on, but you don't. Oh, I love that. God, Kyle, what are you teaching this kid?
Gotta be on brand.
This kid's getting a business marketing degree while he's down the shore right now all summer. So you're a Pit Viper fan?
I mean, I've never really heard of the other one, but if we're talking baseball and like any other sport, I'd Pit Vipers.
Nice. All right. One more for you. 2 leagues. MLS with just with the World Cup obviously is kind of in a cool moment right now. NBA on the other end, kind of in a kind of hanging out in no man's land. A lot of people are wondering, what the next iteration of the NBA is, with a lot of guys like LeBron James probably getting out of here in the next couple of years. When you look at these 2 logos, NBA or MLS, sitting down, like I'll use the couch model again, sitting down on the couch, it's an MLS game on or it's an NBA game on. Union, Sixers, only can choose one. What are you going with? And try to do it Sixers last year instead of obviously with now. I think you'd probably tune in to watch LeBron, but I could be wrong. Go ahead.
I like to watch soccer more, but I think a big part of that is because the World Cup is like a clean, like MLS. It's not. I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, but like it's not
the best of the best. Are you saying?
Yeah, it's not the best of the best. Like I like watching the World Cup. Like the World Cup this year was amazing. That was like, and that's why I really started to get into like watching soccer.
So do you watch the Premier League?
A little bit because I have cousins in London, well, they're here now, but like live in London, and they watch a lot of Premier League, and that's what I've tried to check it out. It's actually, I think the Premier League, like, there's more better players
Oh yeah.
than the MLS, and also the MLS is a bigger league.
So if I put the NBA versus the Premier League, again, couch example, sitting down, what are we watching?
Premier League.
Premier League. Okay. And a lot of your buddies, like, are you seeing that a lot of your buddies are Premier League fans?
I mean, not Premier League fans, but a lot of them are soccer fans. And I like the Premier League because there's a lot of the players in the Premier League are a lot better than the ones in the MLS.
Okay.
I'm not saying all the players are bad, but there's more teams and a lot more players make it, which means it makes it like it was on a few days ago, like when the goalie like missed a kick when he was trying to like pass it. Like that's the kind of stuff that just it's in the MLS sometimes.
Sours you on MLS a little bit, and that's why you want to go to the best of the best and watch the best of the best in the EPL. That makes total sense. All right. Well, dude, I think you knocked it out of the park, and I appreciate you coming on. You're a natural future Buying Sandlot co-host, I think. Anything you want to give the people? I mean, I know there's a business that you might be working on that I think people will not be shocked by after hearing your thoughts on half this stuff. So plug that.
I just recently, like maybe a month ago, maybe like weeks ago, I created a new me. I'm mostly the boss because I do a lot of the work. I'm usually the ones to add it to the store. But it's twoscoopsports.com. We make a lot of stuff. We make a lot of them. We make a lot of stuff a lot.
Like what kind of stuff?
I mean, we just make t-shirts,
nice
custom logos, and I'm trying to get into like asking professional teams if we can like make their logos, so we can become like a big business like Fanatics.
You might need to handle our merch if you can make it as big as Fanatics. You might be in charge of our merch from now on.
I mean, I'll do that.
I love that, man. twoscoopsports.com.
Yep, no spaces. Two brothers, two sports, baseball and soccer.
I like that. Where's the inspiration come from? Baseball lifestyle or drip?
I've always wanted to make secretly, like not like my top dream, but like one of the things I wanted to do was to like become a business owner, but like run a business that people can buy and I can make money. And I hope like my prices are good because I don't know.
Well, that's what it's all about, is figuring it out. I mean, like you mentioned Fanatics, Michael Rubin started in ski resellable goods and sports resellable goods and everything and built it up into Fanatics. So you're living, you're learning, you're making logos, and good luck with everything. All right.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for having me.